Hey everybody, Dr. Corey Singer here. Today I'm going to talk to you about the wellness philosophy, the wellness principle of the cell. So, what I want to have you do is just think about your body. And if you think about your body and we break it down into the smallest living organism or living unit of your body, that is actually the cell. Okay, so if the cell if you take a cell and you replicate that out, you have, it creates a tissue. Put a bunch of tissues together, you have an organ, and then you put a bunch of organs together, you have a system, and then you put all the systems together, you have yourself a body. Okay, and that's you. Now, if the cell has everything it needs inside of it and none of the things that it doesn't, that cell should function properly. Now I'm going to give you an example using a cookie. So if you think about a cookie, right? So let's say you have everything that let's say you need bread, dough, and chocolate, and butter, and things like that, and milk or whatever you need to create this cookie. If you put all those things together, and then you follow the instructions and you put them into the oven, and you set it for the right time, and it comes out, you should end up getting a cookie. Okay, and that cookie should be taste really good, and as long as it's a good recipe. At the same time, if let's say that you took out one of the ingredients out of the cookie recipe, right? So let's say you took out the eggs, and let's say you followed all the steps to create the cookie minus putting the eggs in, and then you put it in the oven, and what's going to come out is a cookie that has some sort of symptoms, right? The cookie is going to be crumbly and flaky, and it's not going to taste very good. Does that make sense? Now, on the other hand, let's say that you had everything inside of that cookie that was supposed to be there, but you added in things that aren't supposed to be there, right? So let's say you added in ketchup or some sort of like plastic, right? Well, it doesn't really matter. But let's say you add something that's not supposed to be in that recipe. You put it inside of it, and you everything it needs, but these things that aren't supposed to be inside of it, you put it in the oven. What's going to come out is a very bad tasting cookie, right? So that's called a symptom of something that's not supposed to be inside that cookie, right? The taste is not going to be good. The same things happen inside of our cells. So what ends up happening is if you have your cell, if as long as it has, there's lots of things that need to be inside of the cell, right? So carbs, proteins, fats, water, and then as long as it has a proper nerve supply going to it, the cell should function properly, okay? At the same time, if it has all of those things, but it has things inside of it that aren't supposed to be there, for example, aluminum, or things like that, that aren't supposed to be inside the cell's, again, not going to function properly, okay? So on one end of the spectrum, what really creates health in the body is this thing called purity and sufficiency. So what does purity means? Purity means the absence of toxicity. And then what is sufficiency? Sufficiency means it has everything it needs. So that would be the opposite of what's called deficiency. So if you have purity and sufficiency inside of the cell, in other words, it has everything it needs and nothing it doesn't, what you're going to get is called ease, okay, or health. And the definition of that is the complete function of the cell, not merely the absence of a disease. Now, if you have on the other side toxicity and deficiency, what ends up happening is you get this state of the cell called dis-ease, okay? So the cell is not in a state of ease. What that means, it's in a state of sickness or adaptation. So it's trying to adapt to the improper or unbalanced environment in which it's in. Now, that is limited or adapted function of the cell, okay? And we could extrapolate again that to the body, okay? So if you just look at the body as a whole now, so we go back into the body or the cell, there's certain things that the cells need and the body needs, and there's certain things that are bad for it or habits that are bad for the body. So we take this out as things that it needs. So nerve supply, proper alignment of the tissues and of the body, proper nutrients, clean water, clean air, adequate sleep, right? Proper light, grounding, movement, right, on a sedentary lifestyle, positive mental attitude, connection to others, and purpose. And there's lots of examples of that. And on the other side, and that's what's going to create purity and sufficiency in the cell, right? On the other side, things that are bad for it or hurts it is improper nerve supply, subluxations or bony misalignments, which create that, improper nutrition, dehydration, lack of sleep, improper light exposure, electromagnetic frequencies, sedentary lifestyles, chronic stress, lack of coping skills, an isolated lifestyle, air or water pollution, toxic chemicals, heavy metals, chronic infections, and a lack of purpose. So those are what create sufficiency and purity or ease in the body, or what create dis-ease or toxicity and deficiency inside the cell. So I just wanted to give you that overall spectrum of where health creates and where health comes from. Thanks.